Make sure that mic's on before you talk this year.
I turned it on. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Secretary Bowie, Chief Weisler, staff, distinguished guests, family, and friends. Welcome to the graduation for the New Mexico State Police 102nd Recruits class. I'm Captain Mark Soriano of the New Mexico State Police Training and Recruiting Bureau. It is my great honor to present to you the 102nd New Mexico State Police Academy graduates. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please stand for the presentation of the colors and the singing of the national anthem. The color guard is commanded by Commander Carlos Verdugo and is comprised of team members Sergeant Adam Sandoval, Officer Juan Cordova, Officer Julian Garcia. The national anthem will be sung by New Mexico State Police Officer Cynthia Rodriguez. Color guard, please present the colors.
Color guard, attention. Right, shoulder, arm. Carry, color. Cut. Forward, march. Hold. Officers, present arms.
Recruits, present arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Officers, order, arms.
Recruits, order! Arms!
Right turn, march.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please remain standing for the invocation by Pastor Steve Smotherman. Pastor Smotherman is the senior pastor at Legacy Church in Albuquerque. Pastor Steve.
The Bible teaches us that, or says, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. And that's what I'm believing for them. As I pray,
Officers, remove covers! Recruits, remove covers! Ready, go!
Father, in the name of Jesus, as we gather to celebrate this momentous occasion, we ask for your blessing upon these graduates. May you grant them the strength, wisdom, and courage as they embark on their journey as state police officers. May they serve with integrity, uphold justice, and protect all those in their care. Father, guide them in their decisions and keep them safe as they fulfill their duties. Bless their families and loved ones, giving them peace and comfort as they support these brave men and women. May this graduation be a testament to their hard work and dedication to serving their community. In Jesus' name, amen.
Officers, replace covers! Recruits, replace covers! Ready, go! Ready, seats!
Please be seated. Thank you, Pastor Steve. At this time, I'd like to recognize our guests. First, the Department of Public Safety Secretary Jason Bowie. Deputy Secretary and Chief of the New Mexico State Police, Troy Wiesler. Deputy Director of the New Mexico Law Enforcement Academy, Sonia Chavez. Deputy Chief Carolyn Nguyen. Deputy Chief Matt Brum. Deputy Chief Dale Wagner. Major Troy Velasquez. Major Lorenzo Aguirre. Major Robert Algire. Major Randy Larcher. And Major Emmanuel Gutierrez. Next, I'd like to introduce you to my training staff. My dedicated training staff work tirelessly and invest countless hours in preparing these recruits for the demanding roles on the street. Their unwavering commitment to excellence ensures that our recruits receive the best guidance, instruction, equipping them with the skills and knowledge to hit the streets. The hard work and dedication of these officers play a pivotal role in shaping the recruits into officers who will uphold the highest standards of service and safety in the communities we serve throughout New Mexico. Lieutenant Jake Garcia. Sergeant Veronica Sainz. Officer Justin Esquivel. Officer John Paul Gallegos. Officer Alsherdan Lopez. Officer Carlos Vigil. Our administrative assistant, Miss Debbie Garcia. Our public relations section, Lieutenant Philip Vargas. Miss Roxanne Romero. Mr. Andrew Hartman. And Mr. Tyler Broder. And last, our quartermaster isn't with us today. She's celebrating her birthday. So if she's watching on Facebook, which I hope she is, happy birthday. But if we can give a round of applause for Michelle Carano. All right, New Mexico State Police Association President, Sergeant Jose Carrasco. And all of our district commanders, if I can have you guys all stand to be honored. The Honorable Stephen Whittington. Judge Whittington, who will later present the oath of office, is a retired New Mexico State police officer. Pastor Steve Smotherman. All retired New Mexico State police officers, please stand and be recognized. Thank you all for the service to this department. Any other law enforcement officers in the crowd from other agencies, please stand. Thank you all for your service. Military veterans in the audience, please stand. Thank you all for your service to our great country. With that, we're going to move along with the program. Our first speaker is the Department of Public Safety Cabinet Secretary Jason Bowie. Cabinet Secretary Jason Bowie began his career in law enforcement in 1994, the Rio Rancho Police Department. During his tenure with that agency, he worked with in the patrol division as an officer, and in 2005 was promoted to the rank of sergeant. He developed a special service unit which focused on the apprehension of violent and repeat offenders in the Rio Rancho and metro areas, and developed the agency's first SWAT and K-9 service. In 2010, he was promoted to the rank of lieutenant, and in 2014, promoted to the rank of captain, acting in both capacities as the department's operation commander and SWAT commander. In 2019, he was promoted to the rank of deputy chief and held that position until his retirement in August of 2021. In August of 2021, he was appointed as cabinet secretary to the Department of Public Safety. Mr. Secretary.
Good morning, everyone. Really pleased to see that we filled the room. I want to welcome family, friends, all distinguished guests. If we missed recognizing anybody, please accept our apologies. We're really exceptionally pleased that you're all here to spend this day with us and to honor everyone here that's graduating this morning. I always want to appreciate, first of all, the people who put this together. There's a tremendous amount of work that goes into all of this, things that happen behind the scenes. So if you haven't been told thank you for that yet, thank you for that. I'd like to thank Cynthia Rodriguez for singing that beautiful rendition of the national anthem. Yes, please. and the New Mexico State Police Honor Guard for posting our colors. They do this at not only our ceremonies, but across the state of New Mexico. They always do a fantastic job. Cynthia did the national anthem at the New Mexico Law Enforcement Conference this week, and was just as good to doing it there. Just one acknowledgement, if I could, for just a moment. Earlier in the week, Sunday going on to Monday, we lost Curry County Sheriff Mike Reeves. He was a 35-year professional in law enforcement. He was due to report to the New Mexico Law Enforcement Academy and didn't make it there and was found deceased in the hotel right before he was due to report. Given this crowd and this occasion, I would be remiss if I didn't just acknowledge him for a moment. And please keep his family in our thoughts and prayers, as I'm sure they're struggling through the holidays here. So thank you for allowing me that for just a moment. There's a lot to cover here, and I just want to set the tone for a minute. Like, this is a celebration. At the end of the day, we're only going to do this once, so don't miss out on the opportunity to get that perfect picture. We'll have our photographer up here taking photos, but if you need a photo and you need to come up here, we'll hold them up here long enough for you to do that. We do want to keep things moving, and we want to make sure that we stay on schedule, but on the same note, I don't want you guys to miss out on that opportunity. A lot of recognitions have already been said, and so I'll skip over some of them just for brevity, but just understand that I am extremely appreciative of everyone in the Department of Public Safety for all that they do, and a lot of them are here every time we have one of these graduations, regardless of where they serve within DPS. They are here to take the time to congratulate these recruits and to make sure that they are a part of the success here. And so, as leadership of the organization, we often have the distinction or the privilege of standing up here and to accept credit for the organization, but it's really all of them that deserve the credit for the forward progress that we make and the service that we provide to the state of New Mexico. They truly do all the heavy lifting. I want to mention just real quickly, again, I won't go by name, but chief staff in general. The chief of the New Mexico State Police started in June. He's doing a fantastic job. He's been going around to all the districts, making sure that the vision of the New Mexico State Police, the traditions are carried out, and making sure that he saw all of his troops. Chief staff helps with that. At the end of the day, a chief is only as good as its support staff. They are his advisors, and they make sure that we don't miss a step there. It was already recognized, the district commanders, they're all the salty guys in the corner over there. You know what you're talking about. But at the end of the day, the New Mexico State Police mobilizes across the entire state of New Mexico for whatever the problem is in whatever corner they serve. And it's really all of the district commanders that make all that happen and to make sure that our people are in the right place at the right time to make sure that we're able to provide the service to the state of New Mexico. I just learned today, and I hope I'm not stealing the Chief's thunder here, but I just learned today that Captain Richard Matthews will be retiring tomorrow. So if you would stand up for a moment and be recognized for 25 years of service. Thank you. Thank you. I served with Captain Matthews when I was with Rio Rancho Tactical, and he was with the New Mexico State Police. Served a lot of years together, and so thank you for everything. Thank you for your friendship, and I wish you the best in your retirement. Thank you. Certainly, not last but not least, I want to thank all the retirees who came out. A program they started a couple classes ago, retirees started coming out and spending time with the recruits, and it's really invaluable. The retirees coming out is something that you don't see a lot in other agencies, and so it really provides an opportunity for these recruits to see the road previously traveled, and gives them an opportunity to understand where they're coming from and where they're going as they navigate the road ahead. So all the retirees who have come out, thank you very much for all of your contributions there. The training staff have already sitting behind me here, have already been introduced by name, and so I won't do it again. But there's a tremendous effort that goes into what they do. When the recruits are getting up early in the morning, they've already been structuring the day and preparing to make sure that the day goes off without a hitch. And when the recruits retire back to their room, they're planning for the next day. They've always been very good to me. I thanked them for that last night at the banquet. They've been very good to me as well, making sure that I'm included and understand what they're doing and allowing me to share time with them as they're instructing these recruits. And so I'm exceptionally appreciative of them as well. So thank you for all that you guys do. Honorable mention, Sergeant Mejia. I think you're in the back over there. There you are. I know you started the recruit school and you're not up here, but I know you were there prior to being promoted. And so I saw you there a little while ago, and so thank you for your contributions as well. Certainly, last but not least, I want to thank the families for all of their contributions. to giving a little bit of yourself to us, the New Mexico State Police, and giving these great people to us to be recruits for the New Mexico State Police. Moms, dads, siblings, aunts or uncles, anyone who had a part in raising these fine men and women, you really owe yourself a round of applause for your contributions. We know that without the investments that you have made, without laying the foundation, without instilling the strong values that each one of these people share up here, that we wouldn't be successful in having these people in the New Mexico State Police to fulfill the tasks that they're responsible for. And so we really thank you for that. We also want to thank you in trusting us with your loved one. And I should have probably mentioned this last night to the family, and I was remiss in doing so, but you have our assurance that we will do the very best as leadership for the organization to provide them guidance, the tools and support necessary for them to be successful in their career. And that's our commitment back to you as you have committed your loved ones to us. And I probably should have mentioned that last night, but I'll mention it to you now. We are here for them to the best that we can. So now I'll turn my address to 102. Thank you for just allowing me for a minute to all the thank yous there. But I'll turn my address to 102, and I talked to you guys a little bit last night about what this was going to be about, and it was going to be about accountability, trust, reputation, and opportunity. And so to start that talk, I would like you for just a moment, just kind of reflect and think back on the moments in life that got you here. I want you to reflect on who got you here, who raised you, who took the time to invest in you, and who took the time to mentor you, and really picture those people for a moment. I know that a tremendous amount of investment has been poured into you before you walked through the doors of the New Mexico State Police to embark on this journey to become a New Mexico State Police officer. So really take the time to appreciate that love and support that you received, the guidance that you received from your family, the mentorship and the discipline. Without their support and encouragement, quite frankly, you wouldn't be here and you wouldn't be sitting here today. And so while you're reflecting on that accomplishment that you have accomplished here at the back end of your graduation, I want you to realize that you have accomplished something that most aren't willing to do these days any longer. You have stepped up at a time when other people are stepping down or stepping out of the profession. And so we really thank you for that. I also know that you're filled with pride. If you go back to a couple days ago when you received your badges, I can't think of a moment probably in your life that you will feel more proud of yourself. And I can tell you we were exceptionally proud of you as well. Now I want you to hold those thoughts in mind for a minute. Like I said, this conversation is about accountability. And last night I set the tone for that, and I'll share it with this group as well. It's extremely frustrating when we lose state police officers to misconduct, and every agency suffers from this, and we're certainly not unique in that. And here in the last couple of months, it's been difficult for us. We've lost quite a few. We've lost 3 in about the last month, and we'll probably have a couple more in the hopper. And it is exceptionally frustrating, and so I want you to kind of remember this as we're talking about this. We're not talking about corrective action or anything like that. We're talking about serious disciplinary issues, repeated egregious violations of policy, criminal conduct, fraud, DWI, felony offenses, and things that I'm always quite honestly embarrassed to mention in this group. And it's for these reasons that I continue this speech. I've given this speech similarly before, and then sometimes I think maybe I should change it up, but each time a group graduates, inevitably within a short period of time, we lose some of them. The last graduating lateral class, I've lost one of those already, and the chief has lost one of those already. So for those reasons, I'm going to continue this talk until hopefully it sinks in. So let me walk you through that and what that looks like. Chief Wiesler and I have a task of deciding discipline and termination of our police officers. And as I mentioned, these are egregious offenses. We're not talking about just corrective action. If you don't understand the difference, let me just explain for a moment. Corrective action are really those things like verbal counselings and written warnings, those kind of things that just kind of put people back on the right path. It's similar to what you would do with your children when you have an expectation of them and you put them back on the path of what you would like them to do. And then there's discipline. Those are administrative sanctions. Those are the things that we give them days off that starts hurting them, in their pay and whatnot. Administrative sanctions, the intent there, intent is it's to sting. It's to get your attention. It should hurt a little bit. And while these are unfavorable tasks, we're not apologetic for it. And the reason why is all the chiefs of police and sheriffs in the state of New Mexico have the responsibility of reporting LEA 90s to the New Mexico Law Enforcement Academy. And you just was introduced, new director Sonia Chavez has the responsibility of reviewing that and then submitting that to the Law Enforcement Certification Office. And then that office has the responsibility to determine whether an officer's certification should be suspended or permanently revoked. In other words, can never be a police officer again in the state of New Mexico. And our responsibility is absolutely necessary to maintain the integrity of the organization in which you serve and the credibility of law enforcement and profession as a whole, and to maintain that public trust. So recruits, the question becomes, how do officers get from the moment sitting here today, beaming with pride, with your family there and supporting you, to the point where an officer has to get terminated, to the point where a board has to suspend or revoke the license? It's very disappointing when that happens. And I can tell you the reason is that the officer would have lost sight. The officer would have become entitled, would have lost sight of the values instilled in them by their families sitting right here in the room, or maybe even family members that have gone before you. They would have lost sight of their oath of office. It really is hard to imagine losing that all. So I want to recap for you for just a moment what it took for you to get here. Think about for a moment the application process, the test that you had to take, both the written and the physical, interviews, background checks, polygraph, psychological screening, chief selection, your personal preparation before the academy ever even started, and 16 weeks of training, and the investments of the instructors put into you. And as you mentioned last night, there were many victories that you guys celebrated. You have 3 months of field training, officer program, field training to follow. It's really hard to imagine losing it all. And so I was reminded last night as we were talking about some experiences that I had dealing with officers and correcting them. When I was a lieutenant for Rio Rancho, I would call people into my office that were on the wrong path and that were getting in trouble, and I would set them down, and I wouldn't say much, and I said, you're going to get fired. And they would look at me surprised. Sir, I'm going to get fired? Well, not right now, not right this moment, but I want you to understand this is the path that you're on. If you continue on the path that you're on and continue to allow us to, or make us have to discipline you and correct you, eventually we won't have any recourse left. It will lead from corrective action to disciplinary action to administrative sanctions, to the point where we have to make a decision as an agency to cut loose of you. And I would like nothing more, I would tell them, to have the opportunity to see you walk down these halls 3 or 4 or 5 years from now and be like, that guy had some problems a couple of years ago, but he's squared away now. He's on the right path, he's on the right track. And I would really encourage them to make sure that they were squared away from here on forth. And some people would heed that warning. And I can tell you from experience, there's some people that did not. And some people eventually did get terminated. And although it was never in my authority as a lieutenant to fire anyone, that right's always reserved for the chief. I knew the path that they were on and where it would lead to. And so I would make sure that they understand that keep up with what you're doing, and eventually you will be terminated. And then, of course, there's those situations where it's so egregious right from the very beginning, we don't have to go through that corrective action process. Just skip right to the end there and get people terminated, and it's very unfortunate when that happens. So my goal here is really in this address to get through to you how important it is. I can tell you, speaking from experience, it's an absolute privilege and an honor to wear the badge of office. I often tell people, this job is being rewarding in ways that I never expected. But I'm here to tell you, it will take your continued commitment, and only when you truly learn what it means to serve others, to truly place others before self, only then will you be successful in your career. And understand that every day, your job will be to build trust within the community and to safeguard the reputation of the New Mexico State Police. And so that leads into my next piece, as I mentioned, was really about the reputational piece and the opportunity that you have as you're going out there and work. And so that reminded me of the next piece, is that when I was an early SWAT operator, I had a sergeant that I always looked up to. His name was Mark Nauman. He was an amazing man. He was a great mentor. And he was the person that I never wanted to disappoint as I was coming up. And as I became the sergeant for our tactical team, he was always the guy that I didn't want to let down. And for you guys who are in law enforcement, you know, like, the sergeant is the most important person in your world. It's not even the chief. It's that first layer of supervision that you have. And for me, that was him. And so I would be, as I led the team moving forward, I would want to make sure that I never let him down. I didn't want to disappoint him. As I was onboarding new team members, I would have a discussion with them about reputation and past effort. And we had an expression that you're only as good as your last call out. And for me, that meant it didn't matter if you had 200 SWAT call outs under your belt. If you messed one up, and I mean messed one up in a meaningful way, That's the last of it, right? That's all that people are going to remember. And the same goes true for reputation, no matter where you land. And I recognized as I went on in my career, having different assignments and different people under my charge, at the end of the day, that same thing applied. If people are out there working hard each and every day, it only takes one person to damage that reputation. So I want to remind you of the people who have served before you. And a lot of them in this room, we pointed out retirees. Retirees have come out and spent time with you. You have all your command officers over here who do their very best to keep you straight. Your job is to make sure that the reputation, the history and traditions of the New Mexico State Police live on, and you never do anything to tarnish that. And hopefully you will have a sergeant that will keep you straight. If you have a sergeant that cares enough to write you up, then you're sitting in a pretty good spot. You're pretty lucky to have that person being your boss. And so I want you to remember that there's nothing more frustrating to law enforcement as a whole to be out there working, grinding hard every day to build community trust, to have people out there eroding that pretty much in a moment's notice. So always remember who you represent. I want you to remember that you represent first as your family. Those are the people you're going to have to look at and let them know that you're no longer working in this organization because of decisions that you've made. You represent them first. That name is right there on your name tag. And they have to come first in this. Next is your department's name, in this case the New Mexico State Police. And always remember that you represent law enforcement in this country as a whole. I want you to remember that public trust is not coincidental. It's a daily commitment and investment. And I'm telling you that it's a unique opportunity that you have that generationally you can be the solution to critics who would question law enforcement for what we stand for. And as I said at the beginning of this, it sounds like we're down on you. We're not. We are here to support you. We love every officer that is willing to do this job, and we admire you for what you're still willing to do in an environment at a time when law enforcement is a very difficult profession to enter into. We will support you the best we can, but we expect a lot of you, and we want to make sure that this message rings through with you. And again, for as long as it takes to keep drilling this home to our recruits, we'll continue to do so. I would like to see nothing more, as I mentioned to you last night, to see each and every one of you reach retirement, 25-year plus and still going. I would love for one of you guys to be the New Mexico State Police Chief one day. And that's really what I would hope for you, for each and every one of you. With that, I want to just thank you one more time for allowing me to spend time with you, for being open enough to accept me into your classrooms, get to know you a little bit. It really has been my pleasure. Thank you for the gift this morning. You know what I'm talking about. It meant the world to me for you guys to present that to me. Thank you for that. May you always be safe out there and return home to every shift. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Our next speaker is New Mexico State Police Chief Troy Weisler. Chief Troy Weisler graduated in December of 2002 from the 68th Recruit School and was stationed in Deming, New Mexico. He later transferred to the Uniform Bureau in Moriarty before serving as an agent in both the Investigations Bureau and the Research and Development Section. He served as a uniform sergeant in Farmington and the Criminal Investigation Section in Albuquerque. In 2013, he was promoted to the rank of lieutenant and was put in charge of the Region 3 Drug Task Force and stayed in the narcotics unit through the rank of captain. He was promoted to the rank of major over the Investigations Bureau in 2019, where he served for over a year before becoming the interim Deputy Cabinet Secretary of the Department of Public Safety, overseeing statewide law enforcement support and Law Enforcement Academy. In 2021, he was promoted to Deputy Chief, where he served until being named the 23rd State Police Chief earlier this year. He has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from New Mexico State University, a master's degree in public administration from Wayland Baptist University, and a master's degree in sustainability leadership from Arizona State University. Please welcome Chief Troy Weisler.
Lieutenant Michael Williams wants me to point out that Lovington High School, right, bud?
kind of funny, the cabinet secretary mentioned one of these people becoming chief. So one of these recruits has a name the same as a previous chief, and I asked him during inspection, he's like already gunning for my job. I asked him, I was like, the last Carlos Maldonado we had was chief. Are you going to be chief? And he's like, sir, yes, sir. It's like, let's get off of FTO first, bud. And then, all right. So first off, I'd like to welcome everyone to today's ceremony. I know you've been welcome before, but it's a very exciting day for our graduates, for their families, for their friends, and of course, for the state police. And usually by the time it gets to me, several rounds of thank yous have already occurred, so I'll be brief. But I just want to take a moment and once again thank all the retirees and all the families that are here. If not for those two groups, none of us would be here. And of course, want to thank the training and recruiting staff, and of course my staff that makes sure the agency keeps running on a day-to-day basis. And I know we mentioned Richard Matthews over here. We also have a couple other people that are taking off on us. We have Captain Scott Merrill over here from Las Cruces, going to be leaving us the end of the month. Be sad to be losing him. He's going to play a lot more golf probably now, though. And Lieutenant Wendy Graft, I've been trying to talk her out of it, but she says she's leaving. They will be greatly missed. So today we graduated recruit school that is the 102nd class for the state police, but the first recruit school for me as chief, so it's a little extra special. Today the New Mexico State Police add 19 new members who will protect our communities and our citizens across this great state. When I first took over in June, I think it was mentioned earlier, one of the first things I did was embark on a traveling road show that we call district meetings. My staff and I traveled to all 12 state police districts around the state. And as part of those meetings, we do inspections, we talk about issues in the area, meet with supervisors, meet with all the troops. And as chief, I give a little spiel on whatever topic that I choose to talk about the troops with. And if you would have sat in one of those meetings this year, you would have heard me tell the officers my expectations. You would have heard me talk about all the things that are going right for this agency. The new offices being built, one just down the road here at District 1. The advanced crisis intervention training our officers are receiving. I know we got those folks around here. The technological investments being made, everything from the newest cutting edge taser, to new body cameras, license plate readers, high-tech software, and the list goes on and on. In those meetings, I talked about the future and all of our high-tech equipment. But today, I'm going to go back to the beginning. We've always worked hard to ensure we have the best possible personnel in this profession. And since day one of the state police in 1935, every single one of our officers has started out with the same piece of equipment, the same piece of gear. Today I'm going to talk about the first thing a state police officer receives, the foundation upon which all the other things rest. The original thing that made state police and that remains to this day is this uniform. The single item that has never changed in 88 years is the uniform that these 19 officers will wear from this day forward. You might say to yourself that that is just a piece of fabric, it is just for looks, but you would be wrong. In fact, quite the opposite is true. This uniform is the original less lethal device, the original piece of de-escalation equipment. People see this uniform and their whole attitude changes. But that only remains true as long as we do not soil or disgrace this uniform. As an officer, you will show up at the scene of mayhem, and people will seek you out for guidance when they see this uniform. Criminals will straighten up and take notice when you arrive on scene, knowing that you mean business and the time for their shenanigans is over. Because of its history, this uniform demands respect. the respect of both the officer who wears it and the public whom it serves. I'm going to tell you a quick story that I think demonstrates what I'm talking about. Many years ago, there was a young state police officer out on patrol on Interstate 25, and he stopped a car traveling southbound near Socorro. The officer did not know who he was stopping at the time, but over the course of his stop and investigation, he would learn that the driver of this car had just murdered someone in Albuquerque and was headed south to Mexico. This officer did everything correctly and ended up arresting the suspect. What he didn't know at the time was what this man would tell the criminal investigators when they came to interrogate him. This man, who had just killed someone else and obviously had no qualms about taking the life of another human being, had intended to kill this officer when he was pulled over. He intended to let him walk up to the car, and he was going to shoot him. That is, until he saw this officer get out of his state police unit. He looked at that uniform, perfectly pressed, brass shining, boots polished. He saw that officer put his cover on as he exited his pristine patrol car. And this man, this murderer, told the agents in his interview that at that moment, he realized this was not the officer to mess with. This was not the officer to try his luck with. Looking at that officer and that uniform, he knew the officer was prepared, and obviously that officer knew his craft. This uniform very well might have saved that officer's life that day. And if any of you have ever met or seen retired Major Mark Umprovich in uniform, you would have known exactly what that murderer was talking about. The sight of this uniform and those proudly wearing it has saved lives, prevented shootings, prevented uses of force, and de-escalated countless situations over the last 88 years. We can give you all the equipment in the world, but in the end, it often just comes down to this uniform and the officer who is wearing it. This uniform did not magically come off the sewing machine in 1935 instilled with power and respect. It was earned with the honor, tradition, and professionalism of all the generations of state police officers that came before you. What you all do over the course of your career will determine if it maintains that special status. I am truly blessed to be the current chief of this agency, and I will do everything in my power to leave this agency better than I found it. But it is not I who will write the future of the state police. It is each of you. The future is not written in speeches. It is written by the decisions you make in the quiet hours of the night on a DWI stop, the interactions you have with the public each day, even the choices you make away from work that might not seem to matter, but they often will. Choose carefully and act honorably. This is a heavy burden, I know. Too heavy for some, but not too heavy for you. Otherwise, you would not be here. But realize the carrying of this burden is not ending with graduation, but rather only beginning. I know that each of you are up to the task. I thank you for the life of service that you are about to embark upon, and the citizens of New Mexico, thank you as well. The citizens of our state now, more than ever, need guardians from the chaos and crime in our society. New Mexico needs the black and gray. It is our duty to make the citizens of this state proud of the black and gray. And for any criminals who have forgotten, they will again become quite familiar with the black and gray. So today, I am very pleased to welcome the 12 newest Knights of the Highway, or 19, going to 12 districts. But I'm very pleased to welcome the 19 newest Knights of the Highway, the 19 newest members of the Black and Gray.
Thank you, Chief. Over the years, the state police has earned a strong support from the community. We're a proud organization, steeped with honor, integrity, respect, and trust. We are confident the men and women sitting will continue the proud tradition. Recruits, know that others before you have paved the way with both commitment and sacrifice. Now it's your turn to start the next chapter in our history. Continue our strong traditions of service with respect, treating others as you'd like your mom, dad, child, or significant other to be treated will often gain cooperation you might not get otherwise. You've been trained by the finest to be the best. We trust you will use your training wisely and to the best of your ability while acting in your powerful and critical role as a state police officer. Be good to your family. They are here because they love you, support you, and are proud of you. You will need them in the future. Don't always let this career come first. It's a balancing act. You love this career, you get paid for this career, and it supports your family, but you need your family to support you in your career. Congratulations to the family and loved ones of these brave individuals that sit before you today. They're worthy of your praise and your pride. Recruits, congratulations to each and every one of you for setting a goal and achieving it today. Many have tried, but only a select few get to wear the black and gray uniform. Wear it with pride. Each recruit school selects one of their members to address the audience at their graduation ceremony. The class speaker for the 102nd Recruit School is Recruit Amanda Zolo.
Good morning. I would like to start by welcoming Cabinet Secretary Jason Bowie, New Mexico State Police Chief Troy Wiesler, Chief Staff, training staff, officers, retirees, and our families and friends. Thank you all for being here today. Today it is my honor to speak on behalf of the 102nd Recruit Class. What a day. What a happy day it is for us this morning. Welcome to this important day and the meaning behind the dignity of this ceremony as Class 102 joins the ranks of the New Mexico State Police. Class 102 embarked on a journey 18 weeks ago to transition from citizen to New Mexico State Police officer. The 18 weeks of training that we received were intense, grueling, arduous, and exhausting, but of a very high caliber. This was the best training, and it was all to prepare us for the road ahead. Our leadership gave their best so that we could become capable, unsurpassed, and excellent members of the law enforcement community. We had physical training, classroom instruction, simulations, and practice sessions, all to prepare us to be the best and to do the increasingly difficult but utterly essential job of enforcing all laws of New Mexico. We have learned, fought, sweat, and bled throughout our training. We have been pushed mentally and physically. We have been challenged to the brink of our limits and beyond time and time again. During our training, we learned about what New Mexico State Police, the elite agency, and its deep roots in tradition, honor, and pride. These three words are more than just their definitions. It's a lifestyle that we, Class 102, have willingly chosen to live by. What is tradition, honor, and pride? Simple words with intense meanings? These three simple words carry a lot of weight for this organization. All ideals that should not be taken lightly, and these recruits have strived to learn and understand. As a class, we have had the chance to live these ideals. We learn tradition by understanding our organization's history, appreciating those who have come before us through retiree mentorship, and having had some shared experiences like OC Day. The class came to understand pride during our 18 weeks as well. Pride in ourselves, pride in others, pride in what we are responsible for. We learned to understand and felt satisfaction of accomplishing our goals. We felt pride as we related and worked alongside each other bearing witness to hard work and the occasional struggle. We learn to take pride in something we are responsible for in our day-to-day activities at recruit school, like our work ethic, our appearance, and helping others. We set a standard, a level of expectation for ourselves, a standard that we will keep even when no one is looking. Lastly, honor. As a class, we had to dig deep to show our worth and start earning the respect of those around us and those who came before us. For those of us graduating today, we committed. Stop and think about that. We have volunteered to follow a higher standard with higher degrees of integrity, honesty, and conduct. We have volunteered to protect the state, its citizens, and those unable to protect themselves. We volunteer every day to run toward the danger, to the sound of gunfire when everyone else runs away from it. We have volunteered to subject ourselves to scrutiny and questions from just about everyone out there who may not have the same knowledge, experience, or understanding of what we do. There are a lot of professions that may have the same risk, but we will go to work knowing that there are people out there who target us for the uniform that we wear and the ideals that we stand for, and that is truly noble. Soon it will be Class 102's responsibility to carry on the traditions, pride, and honor of the New Mexico State Police. Our graduates, commissioning today, will carry the hopes of our state and department on our shoulders. We will now join the ranks of the elite. Our oath of office will connect us to a long line of fellow officers stretching back to 1935, and in a larger sense, reflect the tone and commitment of all who believed in standing up to protect and serve others. We have earned the privilege to wear the black and gray, to serve our state, to stand on the ramparts unapologetic, and to hold the line. For the parents and families in the audience, I know you are proud, and I know your sons, daughters, husbands, wives, and significant others will attempt to explain the enormous impact the last 18 weeks have had on their lives. Listen to them, their enthusiasm, their pride, and know that while they have changed, the full transformation from citizen to New Mexico State Police officer has only just begun. What you will hear are the ideals of service before self, honor, pride, and tradition. Thank you to all our families for supporting us through this, because without your love and support, it would have been difficult to achieve this dream. Finishing the academy is not the end of our journey. We are privileged enough to be embarking on a journey that will teach us things about ourselves we never knew. Accept the challenge, keep up the good fight, and remember, hold the line. Congratulations, Class 102. Thank you.
Thank you, Recruit Zolo. Throughout the course of the recruit school, the recruits receive extensive and rigorous instruction in several areas regarding the law enforcement profession. As a result, 5 awards are given to those recruits who excel in the areas of driving, firearms, class valedictorian, all-around recruit, and the Sherman L. Torler Award. Last night during the class banquet, the awards were handed out. I would like to take this time to talk about the award and introduce the recruits who received them. The first award was for best driving. During the recruit school, the recruits are subjected to multiple hours of emergency vehicle operations, also known as pursuit driving. This includes classroom lectures and practical driving exercises. Recruits are shown and experience the capabilities of the vehicles driven, but more importantly, they are pushed to their limits as drivers. This is crucial because these skills enable them to respond to calls quickly and safely. The 102nd Recruit School's best driver goes to Recruit Travis Conley. The next award that was given is for best shooter. During the firearms training, recruits are taught fundamental marksmanship skills, weapon manipulations, and malfunction clearances. These are crucial skills that we give our recruits as they start their careers as police officers. The overall shooter award goes to the recruit who had the highest score on all recorded qualifications. The 102nd Recruit School's Best Shooter Award goes to Recruit Anthony Bencomo. The next award is for the class valedictorian. The New Mexico State Police Recruit School consists of over 1,100 hours of instruction. Most of these hours are in academics. Recruits are tested in all phases of instruction, which include, but are not limited to, criminal law, traffic law, criminal investigations, drug interdiction, first aid, accident investigation, DWI detection, domestic violence, and so on. While all the recruits performed well, only one recruit can be the class valedictorian. The 102nd Recruit School valedictorian is recruit Anthony Bencomo. The All-Around Recruit Award is given to the recruit who performs well in all areas of recruit school. This recruit is chosen because they have demonstrated leadership skills, they're a team player, they have performed well in academics, patrol operations, physical fitness, and have earned the respect of their classmates. The person receiving this award may not finish at the top in all areas, but their performance is good and consistent. Based on observations throughout the 18 weeks, the training staff selects an all-around recruit. And for the 102nd Recruit School, it's recruit John Valdivez. Recruit Valdivez also received a check for $500 last night from the New Mexico State Police Association, which was presented by the New Mexico State Police Association President Sergeant Jose Carrasco. Thank you, Sergeant Carrasco, for that. The final award is the Sherman Toller Award. In March of 1986, New Mexico State Police Officer Sherman L. Toller Jr. was violently killed during a traffic stop on Interstate 40 near Tucumcari. Mr. Dennis Wilson, who knew Officer Toller, was the director of the U.S. Department of Energy's Central Training Academy, now the National Training Center. Mr. Wilson asked Mr. Ray Kaufman and Deputy Chief Jack Jones, a former New Mexico State Police officer, to create a live fire officer survival course for the New Mexico State Police. This officer survival course was to be the first of its kind and was set to set the standards for officer survival training in the United States and around the world. Deputy Chief Jones also assisted with the class during Officer Survival Week. Each one of the soon-to-be officers here on stage spent a week going through this course. The recruits were faced with dynamic training using role players that put recruits against live adversaries who interact, can shoot them with simunitions, move, and use cover. This dynamic and realistic training gives them a strong foundation when they go on duty. The New Mexico State Police Recruit School training staff and members of the New Mexico State Police Tactical Team determines who receives the award by the recruit who displays the strongest will to survive, along with honor and integrity. The 102nd Recruit School Sherman L. Toller Award goes to recruit Travis Conley. Congratulations to all of you. Next, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the person administering the oath, Judge Stephen Whittington. Judge Stephen Whittington was born and raised in Tucumcari, New Mexico. Judge Whittington graduated in October of 1979 from the 37th New Mexico State Police Academy. He began his career in District 5 Albuquerque and completed his 21-year career in D9 Clovis when he retired on July 31st, 2000. In 2022, he was elected as the magistrate judge in the 9th Judicial District, Curry County, where he still holds this seat today. Judge Whittington, will you please come forward to administer the oath?
Sergeant.
Class, attention! Ready, check!
I state your name. Do solemnly swear. that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. I will faithfully enforce the laws of this state. I will discharge the duties of this office to which I have been appointed. As a member of the New Mexico State Police. To the best of my ability. I will preserve, protect, and defend. The honor and traditions of the New Mexico State Police. Obey all rules and regulations. Carry out all orders. Which may be lawfully given to me. By my supervising officers. So help me God. Congratulations.
Secretary Bowie, Chief Weisler, will you please proceed to the podium for the presentation of the commission. I would also ask the individuals who have previously been identified who will be presenting their commissions to their loved ones to please proceed to the staircase to my right, right of the stage. Also, family and friends, the CAPSEC and the Chief already said this, come up and get some pictures. This day is only going to happen once, so come up here and grab some photos. Chief Weisler, these officers before you have met all the requirements for the certification in accordance with the laws of this state. They have met and exceeded the requirements set forth by the New Mexico Law Enforcement Academy Board and the requirements set by you for the New Mexico State Police. I respectfully request that you commission these recruits as New Mexico State Police officers.
First squad, attention! Let face!
Officer Damian Crawford. Officer Crawford will be stationed in D1 Santa Fe. Officer Irvan Bahi. Officer Bahi will be stationed in D6 Gallup. Officer Heather Barton. Her commission is being presented to her by her cousin, New Mexico State Police Officer Paulina Houston. Officer Barton is going to D6 Grants. Officer Anthony Bencomo. His commission is presented to him by his father, Chief Deputy for the Grants County Sheriff's Office, Anthony Bencomo. Officer Bencomo is going to D7 Taos.
squad, right, face. Ready, seat. Second squad, attention. Let face.
Officer Harrison Benway. Officer Benway is going to D2 Springer. Officer Guadalupe Calabaza. Officer Calabaza is going to D7 Taos. Officer Travis Conley. His commission is presented to him by his father-in-law, retired New Mexico State Police Sergeant Keith Elder. Officer Conley is going to D3 Roswell, America. Officer Caitlin Harvey. Officer Harvey is going to D11 Socorro. Officer Alan Hernandez. Officer Hernandez is going to D7 Chama.
Second squad, right, face. Ready, seat. Third squad, attention. Let face.
Officer Carlos Maldonado. His commission is presented to him by his brother, Carlsbad Police Department Corporal Sergio Maldonado. Officer Maldonado is going to D3 Carlsbad. Officer Caleb Morales. Officer Morales is going to D11 Quemado. Officer Alan Naheda. His commission is presented to him by his cousin, El Paso Police Department Officer Luis Naheda. Officer Naheda is going to D2 Springer. Officer Fernando Ramirez. Officer Ramirez is going to D3 Carlsbad. Officer Julio Ramirez. Officer Ramirez is going to District 8, Alamogordo.
Third squad, right, face. Ready, seat. Fourth squad, attention. Left, face.
Officer David Raymond. Officer Raymond's going to D12 Silver City. Officer Jose Rodriguez.
Go, Jim.
Big waffle.
Officer Rodriguez is going to District 1 Santa Fe. Officer Mario Trujillo. Officer Trujillo is going to D9 Tucumcari. Officer John Valdez. Officer Valdez is going to District 7 Taos. Officer Amanda Zolo. Officer Zolo is going to District 7 Espanola. Thank you, Chief and Mr. Secretary.
Fourth squad, right, feet. First, second, third squad, attention.
Chief Weisler, Secretary Bowie, members of the New Mexico State Police, distinguished guests, family, and friends, it is my great privilege to introduce to you the 19 newest members of the New Mexico State Police. The 102nd Recruit School will now retire their guidon. A tradition was born years ago in which the recruits designed their own New Mexico State Police Recruit School class guidon. This guidon is a representation of the class. To each class, this is a symbol of their spirit, dedication, teamwork, and class identity. Each guidon will forever leave their mark on the New Mexico State Police Training Academy. The return of the guidon represents the conclusion of the 102nd Recruit School. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please stand for the closing prayer by Pastor Steve Smotherman?
Class, attention!
You know, in the Bible, when Moses was done, Joshua took over, and the Lord said these words to Joshua that I want to say to you. Have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous? Do not be frightened, and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. I believe that these officers are called to do this, and it is my honor to be here and to say congratulations. We'll pray.
Officers, remove covers. Ready, front.
May the Lord watch over you and guide you as you serve and protect. May His wisdom be your guide and His strength be your support. May you carry out your duties with honor, and may integrity be your constant companion. And as you go forth from this graduation, may you be a beacon of hope and safety for all of us you serve. May God's grace be upon you today and always. And may you always come home safely each and every night. In Jesus' name, amen.
Officers, replace covers. Ready, front.
This concludes the graduation ceremony. Thank you all for attending, and please join us in the lobby for some refreshments.